You look into the eyes of your players and see that they're devoid of empathy or virtue. Impish smiles curl the corner of their lips. A greying man in a peasant's tunic stands behind a counter with a nervous look. One player picks up their dice. The player speaks. "I wish to intimidate this pitiful man." As their dice clatters across the table, you realize this humble merchant won't make it home to their family tonight. My name is Byrne, and this isn't how to run a dark fantasy campaign. This is how to run an evil campaign. An evil D&D campaign flips the script so that your player characters are no longer noble heroes, they are instead treacherous villains. Playing an evil campaign is incredibly fun and very freeing. It opens up new character options and story possibilities that your group might not have considered previously. Play a paladin sworn to a death god who spreads pestilence instead of virtue. Enjoy the dark gifts of your warlock pact rather than being tormented by them. Raid a merchant caravan for riches instead of defending it. Burn down a holy temple in revenge against the gods. Forge your new empire for the peace and prosperity of the realm. In an evil campaign, you get to search for the One Ring instead of desperately trying to destroy it. An evil campaign also offers the GM the opportunity to try different monsters, which you might not usually get to. Unleash a wrathful metallic dragon upon the party's misdeeds, or rain down upon them with a celestial host. So many fun possibilities are opened by shirking morality and playing evil characters. So why does an evil campaign have such a bad reputation?
Killing innocents, and I use the term loosely, increases your corruption level. This attracts more evil energy, which increases your powers. However, this is rarely suitable for establishing a long-term evil plan. That requires people, living people. Gratitude comes with its own rewards.
Role-playing characters as strictly defined by the alignment chart is incredibly boring to me. Evil and good do not exist for their own sake. What makes a hero fun isn't their belief in altruism, it's the feats of great strength or sacrifice they perform in pursuit of their altruistic ideals. This is also true for evil characters, who are compelling because of the depths to which they will sink to achieve their ideals or motivations. When players rely on the alignment chart to roleplay their evil character, this quickly devolves into acts of random cruelty that don't really achieve anything. Sure, it's fun to intimidate a merchant or endlessly steal meaningless objects, but repeated acts of random wickedness will not sustain an entire campaign. What makes an evil campaign compelling is a goal that your party must work towards, which gives them a reason to behave villainously. This goal might even begin for justifiable or altruistic reasons, which are soon twisted to evil. For example, your campaign might start in a village destroyed by a dragon. You all vow revenge, seeking power by any means necessary to defeat the fiery beast. Or maybe a religious order persecutes mages in your homeland. Your group of young acolytes avoids capture by living in the woods. You survive by raiding caravans. Soon you have amassed enough wealth and power to unite several bandit groups and are now ready to start raiding larger settlements. A strong goal will unite the party and keep your evil campaign more enjoyable for much longer. Evil characters can be selfish and ambitious, but you can't let that rip your party apart from the inside or your campaign won't last very long. Each evil action should be in service of accomplishing the party's goal. Or perhaps the player characters have several overlapping goals. The point is, threatening every shopkeeper or stealing from your fellow party members has diminishing returns in a long-form campaign. Playing in an evil campaign isn't just an excuse to be an asshole, so your group should try to lay out some ground rules first. Having a session 0 is even more important for an evil campaign than a regular campaign. Firstly, your GM can lay out the game world and the group can decide on that goal which will unite the party together. This goal doesn't need to be cemented in the session 0. Of course, there should still be room for the GM to introduce narrative twists or a surprise villain to prop up during the game. What you're really deciding upon is what unites the party and why they all adventure together despite their individual greed, ambition, or mistrust. While learning about the game world and devising that goal, your group can also discuss just how evil your campaign is going to be. Will your villains rise from innocent beginnings, slowly morphing into morally flawed champions of darkness? Or will your characters be balls to the wall evil, inflicting unrepentant carnage with ambitions for world domination? This is important to discuss during your session 0 so that your group can decide what evil actions they're willing to tolerate during play and which they might not be. Is it okay to torture an NPC, for example? Is it okay to endanger a child? Are certain methods of death off the table, such as burning innocents alive inside a sealed church? This is where your group can discuss safety tools such as veils and lines, traffic lights, and the X card. Your GM should also have a voice in what evil actions are on and off the table. They are, after all, the ones who have to roleplay the victims of your wicked deeds, and that gets tiring quickly. Once this conversation of how evil is evil has been agreed upon, you can then make your villainous characters together, and this is where it gets really fun. When creating your evil player characters, try not to create an all-powerful Dark Lord at level 1. Create a character that has to earn the title of Dark Lord during the campaign. Also think about how your character's individual experiences and motivations have shaped them into an evil character. For example, maybe you were raised in a gladiatorial ring, witnessing more violence in your early years than most see in a lifetime. You enjoy inflicting carnage like it's a sport. It's important to create characters together for an evil campaign so that your individual motivations are cohesive. Maybe you play as a paladin who was rescued from a life of poverty by a demonic religion. Trained as their champion, you now bodyguard one of their prophets. That prophet is another player's warlock. They've chosen the same deity to be their patron, which avoids the desires of two different evil gods competing within the same party. Aligning character concepts like this is useful in a typical D&D campaign as well, but it can be pivotal in an evil campaign because party disagreements are far more likely to escalate to murder when the characters aren't so scrupulous. The campaign can stall and break down more easily with intense inter-party conflict if everyone isn't on the same page at character creation. That's not to say that every character has to be part of the same cult or organization. Maybe the mastermind rogue is the head of a small noble family. They have plans to take over a city or region and install themselves as its ruler. The rogue's family name and money legitimizes the paladin and warlock's cult. The cult brings dark blessings and manpower to the rogue's plans. Try not to create an agent of chaos pure psychopath. Or if you do, allow them to be directed by the rest of the party rather than constantly making problems. You might play a serial killer barbarian who is happy to be paid in return for murder given to you by the rest of the party. But don't kill every third NPC entirely at random because you're chaotic evil, especially if the NPC is important to the story or one of your fellow party members. Not all evil characters have to be murder hobos. Game mastering an evil campaign presents its own challenges and, of course, its own unique opportunities as well. You should build your world and story with an expectation that your evil NPCs are going to try to break it. An important ruler or religious leader at the center of your world's lore might become an assassination target for your villainous party, or quest givers can become the victims of unprovoked violence very easily. Why would you do a job for someone that sounds hard when you can just take their money now? You should build your campaign to account for cruelty and facilitate for villainy. Make the quests presented to the party fulfill their fantasy of playing evildoers. If the party want to assassinate a peaceful ruler, think of that NPC more like a BBEG to be defeated rather than a background character important to your lore. Instead of a kind merchant providing an escort quest, have a criminal contact ask the party to stage a jailbreak or execute a noble captain. The other fun part of GMing an evil campaign is using stat blocks you otherwise might not usually get to. Confront the party with a shining paladin by tweaking the blackguard stat block, and mount it on a unicorn for healing or a pegasus so that it can fly. Swap the blackguard's dreadful aspect ability for another paladin oath, such as the redemption paladin's rebuke the violent. Hunt the party with divine constructs such as the pact breaker, or guard holy relics with celestial warriors such as Empyrean knights, both of those from the Grim Hollow Monster Grimoire. Your BBEG might be a solar trying to save the realm against your party's encroaching darkness, or a golden dragon sworn to protect a royal bloodline. Or for a muddier campaign, your evil party could be fighting an even worse villain. What depths are they willing to sink to defeat their adversary? In this case, you can use a more traditional villain such as a lich or a vampire or a cult, but you'll still create quest lines that give opportunities for evil player actions. If you think an evil campaign is for your group or you've played one before, drop a comment down below and tell us how it's gone. Like this video so that I can draw upon your power and grow my infernal strength. And you can join our Dark Fantasy campaign by subscribing to the channel, where we release videos each week telling you how to bring an intensity to your D&D 5e game. For example, you can check out this video to learn how to introduce grievous wounds and slow recovery to D&D 5e for a grittier game experience. Or dive into this video to learn about how to salvage the remains of monsters you've slain and turn them into powerful weapons.